It's been a week since the Key Bridge collapsed, and almost immediately we saw local, state, and federal agencies mobilize and respond to that collapse. Just your thoughts now, 1 week removed from that collapse, just your thoughts on the response and the mobilization of all of those agencies.
Well, just like on day one, I think there continues to be shock. There continues to be also a level of resolve to address this. But of course, a lot's happened in that week. Governor Moore led an immediate response by state agencies. We've worked closely with him, with the county executive, Olszewski, with the mayor, and with each other across the federal government. I have rarely seen more federal agencies all come into play around one transportation incident. We've got the Army Corps of Engineers out there, Coast Guard, obviously my department working on a number of fronts. The Department of Labor, I know my counterpart from the Department of Labor was there earlier looking at what can be done to support workers. So 1 week out, I think there is enormous coordination and collaboration to support the people of Baltimore. Still a lot of unanswered questions. The investigation is, of course, playing out independently. I know the biggest question on everybody's mind is how can we get the port back open and the bridge back up? Neither one of those are happening overnight, but the work is underway. We've been able to move $60 million to help with that bridge reconstruction and related activities. Large cranes are right now preparing to assist in that salvage operation. All of that is part of the road back to normal for everybody who's been impacted with this. And of course, our hearts continue to be with the 6 who lost their lives, making that road better and safer for everybody else to use.
And crews have started removing portions of the Key Bridge from the collapse site. Do you have any estimate on when that shipping channel will be open again?
I haven't seen a timeline yet. There are several stages to getting shipping back up in that channel. It started with the 11-foot channel open to help with salvage operations. I understand that there's a vision for a 25-foot channel to follow, but you really need to get that original 50-foot channel back up and running in order to have the full volume of cargo container and heavy vessels that normally serve the Port of Baltimore. But we've been engaged with a number of different players who are involved in dealing with the implications in the meantime, and everybody has stepped up on the port side, not to mention railroads, truckers, shippers. Everybody's doing what they can to help absorb this, but for everybody who's been impacted, especially the workers, last number I heard, 1,800 workers who are now seeing their lives upended until that port can be up and running. Obviously, this needs to be addressed as quickly as possible. The only thing more important than speed is safety.
Are there any plans for the federal government to step in and assist those port workers who have been impacted by the shipping channel being closed?
I know my counterpart, Julie Su, who's the acting Secretary of Labor, was on the ground looking at what kind of support can be provided. A lot of this will play out at the state level, but we're here to help the state any way that we can with the authorities that we have. I would also note that the Small Business Administration has made financing available to help with some of the small businesses in the immediate area who may find that their business is impacted in a big way, either by the closure of the port or by the loss of the bridge.
Everyone's looking for a timeline. I know Governor Moore has said the Key Bridge will be rebuilt, but hasn't given that timeline. What needs to be done before a timeline can be established?
Well, right now there are still unanswered questions about the conditions of the portions of the bridge that did not collapse, and that includes support infrastructure that's underwater. Getting a full assessment of that is going to be important. There will also be some challenging questions ahead about exactly how to reconstruct. The process could be quicker if it is constructed exactly the way it once was, but there may be reasons to construct it with a different design. There won't be a straightforward or simple answer to that, but as the state continues to make its decisions and determinations, we're going to be there to help. We'll be there to help with technical assistance and, importantly, funding. We've already moved the first $60 million to make those available for everything from debris removal to the design and procurement on the new replacement for that bridge. And we're going to stay there. We're going to be with it every step of the way. The president has said the same, and I can tell you directly, he is very, very interested and concerned in this.
And you mentioned that $60 million. You need Congress to approve any additional funding that you would be providing. Are you anticipating any problems getting that additional funding approved?
I hope and expect that this will be a topic of bipartisan support in Congress. To be clear, we do have some more funds available now, but there is a high likelihood that we will need to turn to Congress for more support. You know, there have been other incidents like the 2007 Minnesota bridge collapse where Congress acted within a matter of days to make sure the funding was there. I know this is a divided Washington. I know there's a lot of partisanship out there, but there's nothing partisan about this. And I think America is at its best when we pull together around any community that is hurting. Today, we all know that community is Baltimore.
And you were in Baltimore last week. President Biden is planning a trip to Baltimore on Friday. What can you tell us about that trip?
We're one of many agencies helping prepare for that visit. The president, I can tell you from the first hours of this incident, wanted to know exactly what was going on, was pressing every part of his administration to help. But he's also somebody who wants to understand what it's like on the ground, wants to look people in the eye who are working on this and who have been affected by it. That's the kind of leader that he is. And I know that that visit will mean a lot to him on Friday, just as I'm sure it'll mean a lot to Baltimore.